Hello, Buzzcocks, my name is Hossy and welcome back to Factorio Space Age, where last time we landed here on Aquila, and today we want to make our first steps towards setting up a base here, production and so on. So I think an important part of that is actually heating things up, but also getting rid of all these ice spikes, so we actually have room to expand. But then as well, we need to get to this point here, and that has a few steps in between. We have lithium processing, then we have to create a lithium plate, and then here we have to craft a cryonic plant in order to unlock these. I'm not sure how far we will get in this episode, because usually progress here on Aquila, at least in my experience, is a bit on the slow side, mainly also due because you have to expand your tiny little starter island in order to get the space to build up something useful, and you constantly struggle with the code. So we will just see how I can manage to do that today. I managed to cobble something together that should work once all the pieces are in place. Here on this side we have our oil field, where we are pumping out oil, or we could be pumping out oil. We have to ensure that every pipe, every pump, everything is next to a heat pipe, which makes this a bit more convoluted than any previous builds, but that's the challenge of Aquila, so not complaining here. Here in the middle we have a bit of solar power. We will need that to kickstart the process. Then here we're pumping out ammoniacal solution from the well, it's not water, this liquid ocean, and we split that into ice cubes and ammonia, and then the ammonia and the ice we are processing down here into platforms that we then store in this chest, and hopefully that gives us enough to expand this platform. Then the last piece we have up here we are taking the ammonia and the crude oil to craft solid fuel that we insert into this heating tower, which should, ideal case, keep everything on freezing. But one problem we will have as soon as we kickstarted the unfreezing with some of the rocket fuel that we have here spare is this will not be enough, and especially the solar power will not be enough. That's why up here I will set up a small nuclear plant that will generate the power for us without the need of relying on solar, which is abysmal here on Aquilo. The nuclear power plant is set up, and I think at least for the heat exchanger that's the correct ratio. What we are still missing, and that's why it's not finished, is we run out of heat pipes big time. We need to go all around here on the inside. We need to have them here on the outside between the turbines, because otherwise they will freeze up. And I also want to connect all this set up to the heat exchanger here. So if our nuclear power plant produces more heat than we need for producing power, we will heat up the system. So with that in mind, let's see where we stand here. Our spaceship is still in orbit, so let's quickly see what we need here. We probably want to have about this many heat pipes. We will need quite a bit of concrete. And what we forget last time for our rocket is we also need low density structures. And we need 100 of them. So we also need then the processing units, and let's for now also ship in rocket fuel. We can produce rocket fuel here on. We can produce rocket fuel here on Aquilo, but for the moment we are not. So let's send that back to Navis. The spaceship is now finally on its way back, but we have to make sure that we are also actually unloading the materials that we need on Aquila. We need to be careful about the fuel cells, because you can see currently we have 203, and if we would unload 200, that would probably cause quite a bit of problems on the way back. So probably we want to have 150 that we unload, but everything else we can unload everything that we have. So let's add that here. We said 150 there. We have the concrete 1000, and then I think we have for the rocket materials we have 200 each. So 2 blue, 200 blue, 200 low density structures, and 200, oh, that's a bit more than 200 rocket fuel. What else have we stocked? Ooh, yeah. These two things. So we want to have, let's unload 500 and I already forgot. What a brain. Oh yeah, heat pipes. But what we need here is requesting fuel cells, used ones from Aquilo, which means here on Navis we then need to request. We already do. Great. So that means here all that's missing are the 300 heat pipes. Oh, not 3000. 300 will do. And now we just wait for our spaceship to make its journey, deliver the materials so we can finish the build. I managed to complete the setup here, although at this point we are missing a bit of the ice to build on, but eventually we will get that for those tanks. But for now, let's add a bit of fuel to our heating towers, and that should defrost everything around here. And the way the heating pipe works is they lose heat if there is something that consumes heat, and that can be a heat exchanger, or it can be a structure that needs to be thawed or kept warm. And we will see how far we get with this setup. It will take a while, at least as long as we see temperatures going up. That means we're producing more heat out of the fuel we are burning than what we are consuming. I think we are missing a few pieces here. Yeah, because we copied that part over from the bottom part here, where we had this line through here. That was something that was missing. And of course, we're lacking power because the solar 4.2 kilowatt, that just does not cut it. So it will be a while until we have defrosted everything, I hope. And it looks we need more fuel here in order to get that going. Here at least this part. Can add this. This should heat up this reactor. This reactor will heat up to 500 degrees before we produce any power, and that will create extra heat that we can use to defrost things. And I do have a few more heat pipes spare, so we can connect left side and right side, and that definitely should also help here. I have more fuel here. We put the rest in there. And eventually I want to add a bit of logistics to here so we don't constantly insert fuel if we don't need it. But we will have to see how that part goes. Ooh, yeah. We probably also then need to cover the turbines with something like this. So we can actually put in the power that is being generated into our system, and power is still going up, but it's not near anywhere close to what we need to produce power with the heat exchangers and the turbines. And I think to thaw things we need 15 degrees Celsius, and we can see we have defrosted already quite a bit. Here we still have a corner, and then mainly our oil field is lacking a bit, but eventually we will manage to defrost that part as well. Now I managed to kickstart the whole thing. We're still lacking a bit of foundation, but the biggest issue here is this one, because here we actually want ammonia and not ammoniacal solution, so that just won't do. Let's see, can we move this up one? Oh yeah. We are lacking heat pipes. We want to bring those over on the other side. And maybe we can have a bit of pipe going through here. And we need to empty this part. And let's make it clear that here we want something like this, and that at least should solve the problem. I don't think we have any more heat pipes laying around. Can I craft 2 more? Yeah, I can. With that, we have fixed that problem as well. And I think now it's really time. Let's expand this piece of let's expand this piece of island. We should have enough power production going for this to sort out. And once we have basically a huge open icy landscape, I can build up a proper factory where we go from the liquids, from the sea, from the oil wells, from those geysers up here to whatever we can produce here on Aquilo. But that will still take a while. We need definitely more resources shipped in from Navis, but at least I think for now we're self-sufficient as far as it comes to heat and power. We just are unable to expand further. So, with that, we're at the end of today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and tune in next time when we really focus on expanding Aquilo. Until then, goodbye!